It's a Zoom world record. More than 100,000 white women mobilized for Vice President Kamala Harris on Zoom.
Yep, in the year 2024, we are doing segregated Zoom calls where we gather over 100,000 liberal white women to discuss saving democracy. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Now, I've seen some crazy things in the coverage of this election, but over 100,000 liberal white women on one Zoom call talking over one another about equality, or should I say equity, their oppression, their whiteness, their privilege is a whole new level of crazy. But that's what we have now because Kamala Harris, I guess, has decided in order to usher her campaign forward, she needs to host segregated Zoom calls. And these segregated Zoom calls are actually breaking records. This one with white women for Kamala Harris was one of the most attended Zoom calls of all time. So I guess it's working. Segregation is back in. I thought we left it in the Jim Crow South, but we've decided that it needs a resurgence here in 2024. It's not just white women, though, who are getting these Zoom calls. Black women had them first. And let's react to this TikTok of a black woman saying that now that we've shown up, white women need to do the same.
Black women, y'all got on y'all Zoom last night. 40,000 Black women got on the Zoom at once and raised 1.5 milli. Bravo. Excellent execution. 10, 10, 10s across the board. Beautiful. White women, I'm gonna need for y'all to get on y'all Zoom immediately. At once.
Yeah, so apparently Kamala Harris has put out a bat signal to white women to get on y'all Zoom.
You got to get on your Zoom. Every morning, you got to get on your Zoom at 10.
And apparently the white women were listening because they did appear on the Zoom in large numbers, including quite a few celebrities. Connie Britton, who you may recognize from American Horror Story and other projects she's done as an actress, Pink, the singer, Megan Rapinoe, the soccer player, and a ton more liberal white women. Let's watch a few clips.
Ariel Fodor, affectionately known as Mrs. Frazzle, to her combined audience of over 1.5 million followers, is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am so honored to speak today. I am like shaking to just be among such incredible company. We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season. This is a really important time, and we all need to use our voices and influence for the greater good, no matter who you are. You are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online and navigating the toxicity that comes with it. And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on.
Oh my goodness. I can't take this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. God forbid you correct somebody who is BIPOC, right, white women? You should never speak over them. You should never correct them, even if they're wrong. Just shut your mouth because it must be your white privilege speaking. This sort of language mixed with the condescension is really a cocktail for me going absolutely insane. Okay, I'm gonna be so real with y'all right now. I cannot believe over 100,000 other white women sat and listened to this, taking it in and truly thinking this is the way that they should go about life. And apparently this sort of gentle parenting condescension bit that this lady is doing is something that she does often on her social media. I went ahead and looked her up, and here's a clip of some of her viral content. This says, gentle parenting your uncle who can't bear to see a man in nail polish.
Bubble, Uncle Norm, I think you said an inside thought out loud. Is him wearing nail polish a big problem or a little problem? Oh no, does it hurt your body or your heart? Oh my goodness, is he putting the nail polish on your hand? Is he saying, I have nail polish and you don't? Okay, so it does not hurt your body or your heart.
Oh my goodness. Of course, if you want to go and read the comments of people responding to this video, you can't. She's turned them off, which is so like a liberal white person to really just put their opinion out there, tell you how you should feel, condescend towards you, and then turn off all comments for replies. And I don't want to use this video to label all liberal white women and put them in a specific category of their own. They're already doing that themselves by choosing to participate in this Zoom call. Nonetheless, what I want to point out is that there is a specific type of liberal white woman who has this condescension deep within them that they just must put out in the world while shielding it with their ideas of white privilege, white guilt, and relinquishing themselves of that guilt in order to let BIPOC people speak. But when the BIPOC people do speak, I guess they do it on their own segregated Zoom call. Make it make sense. Now, as I said before, there were some celebrities on this call. Connie Britton from American Horror Story and other films and TV shows decided to appear to talk about her white privilege. Let's watch.
You know, interesting. White women. I mean, here we are. I have to admit, when I was writing stuff down, I was like, Karens for Kamala? I don't know. You know, why is it so difficult, as Glennon was saying, to acknowledge and address ourselves as white women? As white women, we are the ones that have the privilege, of course, and we too have had to fight and continue to fight for our equality, our selfhood, our freedom. But we have whatever privileges our white male counterparts have had the mercy and good sense to bestow on us, and then whatever else of it we have managed to take for ourselves, often being led by, as many have said earlier tonight, the leadership of our sisters of color who have fought and continue to fight for their righteous place on God's green earth. I am here tonight embracing myself in your incredible, profound white women midst, because we've got a job to do, y'all.
Is this what we want conversations to look like from now on? We're all separated into our racial affinity groups to have sensitive conversations about our privileges and where we stand in the hierarchy of race and gender and all these different rights that we do or do not receive based on these just ignorant, superficial characteristics. And I must point out that this is the side of the aisle that claims to be tolerant, unifying, inclusive, yet we're hosting segregated Zoom calls and talking about Black and BIPOC people as if they are wholly othered from white people. Because I'm looking at these white women on this Zoom call and thinking, I'm pretty sure we lead pretty similar lives. I'm pretty sure I have the same exact opportunities as you do. I'm pretty sure I have the same rights and privileges as you do. So why are you talking about me like I'm a sister of color who needs your assistance in order to get somewhere? And we've seen stuff like this on this whole white guilt campaign that has been going on for quite some time in this country that we've all sort of, I guess, collectively bought into for some reason. There are actually dinners that you can pay to go to as a white person that cost thousands of dollars, where you can sit at this dinner and talk about how racist you are and how your white privilege affects the BIPOC people around you. We saw the CEO of Chick-fil-A say that white people should really try to absolve themselves of their white guilt through cleaning the shoes of Black people. Back when I was a leftist and working for the left, they actually used to host these seminars specifically for white organizers so that they could learn how to converse with Black and BIPOC people while out working on these different campaigns and movements. This is no surprise. Speaking of no surprises, it's also no surprise that women are some of the main campaigners when it comes to some of the most horrific movements that are affecting our country. Think about transitioning children, for example. Let's look at a graph of how men and women differ on this issue. It says here that young men oppose allowing children to choose gender identity without parental approval, while young women are divided. And by divided, they mean leaning on the positive end of that issue, saying that children should be allowed to change their gender identity without parental approval. It's also no surprise that young women largely lean Democrat, while young men largely lean conservative. And interestingly enough, unmarried women tend to lean Democrat, while married women tend to lean Republican. I wonder where that influence might be coming from. Now, I'm not gonna hop on this huge red pill bandwagon like Pearl and others and say that women shouldn't be able to vote, but I am gonna show you what women are doing when they vote. And I say this as a woman who is going to vote who very much disagrees with them. Women, I think, because of their innate feelings of compassion and empathy, tend to fall for these left-leaning movements that say that they're all about diversity and inclusion and equity, when in reality, they are changing our world for for the worse. We see this with affirmative action and racial equity, largely supported by women. We see it with the health at any size movement, largely supported by women. The transitioning of children and gender theory, largely supported by women. Open borders and the allowance of illegal immigration in any way, shape, or form that it comes, largely supported by women. I think this comes out of a deep need to help the marginalized and to reconcile the transgressions of America's past. But if it comes at the expense of America's future, you're probably on the wrong path. And that wrong path is leading you to a 100,000 plus Zoom call of other white women talking about their support of Kamala Harris. And when I say it will come at the expense of America's future, I mean the future of women. Another movement that is pushed by white liberal women is actually the erasure of women. We're seeing it as men are ushered into women's sports, their locker rooms, their bathrooms. We can no longer define what a woman is. And I guess we should move over to Rapinoe, who is an actual female athlete who is advocating for the erasure of women, who is also present on this call for Kamala Harris.
White women, this is our opportunity to show up not only for ourselves, but for Black women. 40,000 Black women just the other day, like literally in the snap of a finger, win with Black women, getting organized and getting around this. White women, this is our opportunity to show up not only for ourselves, but for Black women. They've given us the whole playbook on how to show up and energize and be organized and really do the right thing and to tap into all of our networks. So let's just follow their lead. This is going to be an incredible time. It's going to be hard. We all know that, but we can do hard things, right? Just a couple of things. Everybody has said it, but like organize, organize, organize. Keep talking to people, coffee shops, do a fundraiser, conversations that you have, like you have no idea how many conversations those people are having. So keep doing that. Donate, obviously, if you have those means, donate, 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 get your friends to donate. Every dollar counts, as we know, and vote. Nothing really matters if you don't vote.
I find it interesting that in these many clips from this Zoom call, we're hearing white women say they want to listen to Black women. What they mean is they want to listen to particular Black women that support their messaging, that support their ideology. Because here I am, a half Black woman who would love to have a conversation with Rapinoe or Connie Britton, but I doubt they'd want to hear anything that I have to say on the matter. But you're supposed to use your white privilege and step aside in order for me to have the conversation, aren't you? Rapinoe has famously opposed calls for protection of women's rights, women's sports, and women's spaces, saying that we can't really point out any transgender athletes who are truly taking up the spaces of women and beating them. Meanwhile, while she was playing soccer for Team USA, they competed against a group of 15-year-old boys and they lost. 5-2 game. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Because over 100,000 white women jumped on a segregated Zoom call and raised over $8 million in the name of Kamala Harris. This happening on the tail end of 40,000 Black women hopping on their segregated Zoom call and raising over $1.5 million for Kamala Harris. And if you're wondering when your racial demographic gets a chance, just you wait, because right around the corner is a white dudes for Kamala Harris Zoom call, and over 50,000 white men have already signed up. I wonder how much money they'll raise. And all of that money will be going to Kamala Harris, a candidate who didn't even earn the position that she's currently in, a candidate that would not have been chosen by the Democratic Party's constituents if they had the chance to actually choose, a candidate that was chosen for you, as the leaders of the Democratic Party knew that Biden was not going to be able to run for re-election, but still allowed him to perpetuate the lie that he was anyways. And if you want a taste of what a Kamala Harris presidency looks like, look no further than the segregated Zoom calls that she is hosting in order to get there. Her presidency looks like segregation being ushered in 2024, where we sit and talk about our privilege and place ourselves on hierarchies that are divided based on our race, gender, and other superficial characteristics that don't tell us anything about your morals, values, and opinions. But of course we knew this. Kamala Harris was ranked the most liberal US senator in 2019 by GovTrack, but now they're trying to scrub that from the internet. Why? Because they don't want you to know what your future looks like. But Kamala Harris can't hide it, because when you are truly that progressive, and by progressive, I mean regressive, it starts to show when you start hosting segregated Zoom calls. And while these horrible ideas come packaged with a smile and a nice condescending kindergarten voice who is telling you about your privilege and what you need to do with it and what can be unburdened by what has been, they are bad ideas nonetheless. And if it hasn't been made clear to you now, I guess you can wait until you get an email inviting you to a Zoom call that is based solely on the color of your skin and your gender. And then you can hear it in person. Yup. That's where we're at now. Segregation. I have to say that again. And guys, those are my thoughts on what's going on with the Kamala Harris campaign. Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, if you disagree with anything I said in this video, duke it out, but do so respectfully. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day. And I will see you next time. Get on y'all Zoom.
Yeah, you better.